Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Chicken Box. It is noon on Thursday on the East Coast. I know it may be different times at different places. Not maybe. You could be on the West Coast, you could be overseas, you could be anywhere. But we thank you for joining us on the Chicken Box. If this is your first time on the box, you know that we ask you to like this broadcast, share it with your friends. And if this is not your first time, if you're a regular Chicken Box viewer, you may be looking for my co-host, Kevin Impeccable Peck, Impeccable as we call him. He's not on right now. If he can, he'll be on before the show is over. No guarantee. And those who've been watching for a while know that our other co-host, Misha Green, is no longer with us. We miss her. This is an intergenerational show, and so we try to have conversations that overlap our various perspectives, no matter what generation. I'm representing for the boomers. I call myself a millennial boomer. Maybe I want to be a Gen Z boomer by now. Alicia Wilson, who I'll introduce in a minute. And so that's who I am. Kevin is a Gen Xer. We usually have a millennial, but we talk about all kinds of things. And this month is Black Wealth Month, Building Black Wealth. It's financial literacy is what it's called across the country, but the Afro is focusing on building Black wealth. And so we have an entire 24-page edition that will be mailed out to our subscribers later on this afternoon. And those of you who subscribe digitally, I can say that word, will get it in your inbox soon. And those who just want to read a couple of the stories, you can find them on afro.com. Building Black Wealth, what an exciting topic. And we have an exciting guest with us right now, someone who's not a stranger to this topic. And also, we're expecting another guest. And so when he comes, we certainly will just introduce him. Now, our first guest that I'm going to introduce now, she is going to be with us probably the first 40 to 50 minutes of the show. And then she's jumping on another live, the story of our lives, right? Is
Yes,
that
yes.
live to live. Again, if you are just tuning in, this is the Chicken Box. Yes, we know box is usually spelled with one X, but we spell it with two X's. And what we say is, don't be a chicken, get on the box. What does that mean? That means that if you are watching us today, we would love for you to participate in the chat, that you would put your questions, you'd put your comments, and then we will show them on the screen and we'll try to answer your questions. There is Siobhan Joseph. Good afternoon, sir. How are you? I think you might be muted. Okay, so while he's working on that, I'm going to introduce Alicia Wilson, and then we're going to jump into this conversation. The larger conversation is building Black wealth, but
Sure.
um, for you, Alicia, we want to focus. You can talk about all of that. We want to talk about building Black wealth in terms of philanthropy or whatever
Sure.
might be on your mind. And so
Absolutely.
Alicia Wilson is the vice president. It's an economic development. Alicia, let me.
Yes.
Yeah, she is the vice president of economic development for the Johns with an S Hopkins University, located here in Baltimore, Maryland. And so Johns Hopkins is primarily known for its medical school, but it's not just a medical school. I can
Mhm.
attest to that because I'm a Hopkins alum and I didn't go for medicine. And so we're so glad. Alicia's background is varied. She is an attorney by training and profession. Her roots are deep in the city of Baltimore. You know, if you are from Baltimore, you have to say what high school you went to. And so she's a Mergenthaler Vocational Technical High School graduate. We just do Mervo for short. And she is a person who understands economic development and money. So, welcome, Alicia.
Thank
Let me
you.
also, you're welcome. Let me also introduce Siobhan. Is it Siobhan or Siobhan? Help me make sure I pronounce it correctly. Can you hear us? We can see you, and it looks like you're off mute, but we
I
can't hear
can.
you.
Good
Oh,
morning.
good afternoon.
Welcome.
Yes, how are you? Is it Siobhan or Siobhan?
To be here.
Yes, glad to have you. We're glad to have you here. And um, he's been in his business for 36 years, Alicia.
Appreciate being
Wow.
here.
Yes, good to have you here. Good to have you here. If there's a little bit of a delay, one thing
Thank
about a
you.
live
Thank
show, yeah,
you.
you're welcome. One thing about a live show, you get the good, the bad, and the everything,
You do.
in between. But welcome to the Chicken Box to
No,
both
having
of
audio
you.
difficulty.
Yeah, I can hear you. Why don't you try? You want to go out and come back in and see
Yeah,
if
that
it
might help.
improves? You want to just go back out and come back in? I don't know if he can hear me, but hopefully his audio will get where it needs to be.
Well, I could hear you fine now. It's just there. Everybody's here.
Okay, you good?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you well. Welcome to the Chicken Box. Yeah. So yeah. So go out and come back in, please, Siobhan. And
Well, thank you
let's see if
very
that
much.
you're welcome. Clears up his audio. When he comes back, we'll introduce him. But let's jump right into it. Alicia, you can talk about a lot of things. Again, if
Sure.
you're just tuning in, this is a Chicken Box powered by the Afro-American newspapers. We're celebrating 130 years in August. And so we want to talk today about building Black wealth, especially through philanthropy. And so, Alicia, there is an exciting, we've talked about it before, Black Philanthropy Circle that you are a co-founder of. Come on, tell us a little bit about that and anything else you'd like to tell us about
Sure.
Black wealth or Black philanthropy.
Sure. So the Black Philanthropy Circle, and thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and talk today. It's always a pleasure to be uplifted by the Afro, and always a pleasure to get to talk with you, Pastor Draper. Um, the Black Philanthropy Circle was started in the fall of 2021, really as my one of my good girlfriends, Savon Ferguson, and I were thinking about how we could have a collective impact. And as we started talking about it, really, how could we have a collective impact, not just for us to, but have others join with us? And so thus was born the Black Philanthropy Circle. We installed it at the Baltimore Community Foundation. And to be a founding member of the Black Philanthropy Circle, you would donate $10,000 to be a part of the circle. But we take donations of varying levels. So we have people who have donated $100 and we have people who have donated $50,000. And all of that is both about the intent, the spirit, and the action of giving. And the money really is to be used to support Black-led organizations and those organizations that impact the Black community. Savon and I and so many others have had the opportunity to grow up and the privilege to grow up in Baltimore and to reach a measure of success thus far in our lives. And to whom much is given, much is desired. And so for us, we really feel it's incumbent upon us to utilize the gifts and the treasures that have been bestowed upon us to impact another set of people in our community. And as I think about Black wealth in particular, I think that we have been able to raise, over $600,000
Wow.
just from Black people in our
Congratulations.
community. And I think what sometimes is missed in the stories that are told about our community is that we have Black excellence in abundance, Black wealth, and Black philanthropy all tied together. And so I think it's really important for us to uplift that at this point in time.
Wow, that is really impressive. And I know you take money from. I mean, these are right now it's African Americans who are support blacks who are supporting other African Americans. That is wonderful. But I also heard, Alicia, and this is a show we talk about generations, and you're representing, if you by the birth date, would you consider you're a millennial, right?
Millennial. I'm holding on to millennial.
Hold it on to
Holding.
millennial. When I found out about the circle a little while ago, while people of all ages are contributing, someone as young as 7 and
Yes.
people my age and over, did I hear that you were really encouraging other millennials to and Gen Xers to really get involved in this philanthropic movement?
Yes, absolutely. So if you look at the bell curve of, who makes up the majority of those who have given to the Black Philanthropy Circle, it really are millennials and Gen Xers. And so that represents new wealth, right? So
Mhm.
these are people in their late 30s, 40s, up to 50 that are experiencing wealth for their families and for themselves, and are joining us and giving in a really impactful way in our community.
Okay. And so is it a myth that we don't give back? I mean,
Yeah.
what's the real deal about that?
I mean, you can look at so many studies, right? And you can
Uh,
see that Black individuals actually give more of their
okay.
wealth than other communities. So on average, Black individuals give about 25% of their wealth. So proportional of our wealth, we give away a lot. And that's really across the spectrum. So whether you make $20,000 or $33,000 a year, or you make millions, we know that Black people are giving a significant portion of their um, their wealth. Many times, though, it's hidden, right? So it's hidden whether they are tithing in a church, whether they're giving through other vehicles, so other collective um, impact, or they're giving by themselves. And so, this really was an opportunity, we thought, to give in a collective way to say this is Black, Black money, Black wealth showing up through philanthropy.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you so much. We're gonna really dig a little deeper in this, and we want to find out about the kind of projects that you do support. And if Siobhan Joseph comes back on, he's in the home buying sector of
Oh, yeah.
creating wealth through real estate. And I know that real estate is part of your portfolio. So I would
Yes.
love, hopefully he comes back and we can dialogue a little bit about that. Come on, tell
Yeah.
us that story about the 7-year-old who gave to the circle.
So we have a 7-year-old who is actually a mentee of mine, who heard about the Black Philanthropy Circle. I told her about it, and she said, I want to give. And I thought she was going to say, I'm going to give, my birthday money or some other money. But she really had her family rally around her, around giving and philanthropy. And I think that just speaks volumes about her as an individual, but also the fact that her family supported her in her philanthropy.
Okay. So if you're just tuning in, this is the Chicken Box, empowered by the Afro. We want to say good evening or good afternoon, rather. It may be evening where you are, to everybody. And so I think he's trying to come back on, and so we're prayerful that he's going to make it so we can have this dialogue, especially around real estate and financing and building Black wealth through possessions. I love the fact, I don't know if I love the fact, but I heard you say that some of this money that we have is hidden.
Yes.
We have it, and so we give it in different ways. And thank you for dispelling the myth that says that Black people don't give. We do give. So you said over $600,000 has been raised. How long did it take to raise $600,000?
About 6 months.
About
So
6 months.
yeah, pretty soon.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, right? I mean, you all started the circle in December or January. I'm trying to do my math for the 6 months.
We started in September.
In September. Okay, yeah, that in September. And you raise this much this fast. Do you have a goal in mind? Are you trying to reach a particular goal?
We would love to. My voice is going out.
I
We
hear
would
you.
love to reach millions, but we had to start somewhere.
Yes, yeah, that's right. We all have to start somewhere. And so, Siobhan Joseph, we see your name. We don't see you. And he's gone. He's gone. He's gone again. But that's okay. We're on the chicken box. We're with Alicia Wilson, the Vice President of Economic Development for the Johns Hopkins University, and so it's university and
Health
medical
system.
and health
Health
systems.
system. Yes. Yes.
University and health systems. Tell us a little bit. Speaking of, I mean, you're in a very significant position there at Hopkins, and first African American woman in that position. Is that?
Yes. It's a new office. So
Oh, the
first
new
person.
office.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit because I think you have such an inspiring story. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you came to Hopkins, and then a little bit about what you do now.
Well, before coming to Hopkins, I was actually on the board of Hopkins, but I was also serving as a senior vice president with, Byron put it in, also serving as a senior vice president for the Port Covington development deal. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. By the way, it's on the chicken box. This is lunchtime, so get your water, your coffee, your tea, your sandwich. Whatever you need. We're relaxed on the chicken box. On the chicken box. But go ahead,
Yes,
Alicia.
yes. So I was a senior vice president, and before that, I was a partner at a law firm. And so over the course of my development, I've always said, I want to give what I can now, but I want to build for a future. And, one thing I was talking to someone yesterday about when the conversation of wealth occurred for me first, and understanding that my growth could be tied to the philanthropy. It actually started when I was about 15 years old. My dad sold televisions for Montgomery Wards. I don't know if you remember that old company.
Yes.
And he sold a television to a gentleman who was a financial planner. And the man was so happy with what my dad did. He said, what can I do for you? And my dad said, I want you to help my daughter build wealth. And so my dad took me down to, it was Lake Mason at the time, and asked him to help me set up an account where I would put $50 away of my earnings, because I had summer jobs, different jobs when I was 15, $50 a month into a mutual fund. And probably at 15, I know I told my dad, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford $50 a month into this account. The reality is, because I was consistent, right? $50 a month into a mutual fund every month. Fast forward when I'm 28, buying my home, that money was the corpus for my down payment on my home.
Amazing.
And because of compound interest, we all know that compound interest is that's the 10th wonder of the world. Because I started early, I was able to accumulate some proceeds. And so as I think about, we talk about Black wealth, I'm grateful that my dad thought about, even though he couldn't do it for himself, that he might have a child that could build wealth starting early. And, big things count. So everybody's like, oh, when I become a millionaire, but little things mount, in the sense that consistency, when you're talking about investment and wealth creation, is really the key. It's not the hare that wins, it's the tortoise. And so whether you have $10 or $20 or $50 to do every month, that's more important than you picking like the right stock or the right thing, because there's no quick wins in this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you know what? That's it's simple, but we don't do it, do we? All the time. But you started young at 15, and then the donor to the circle started when she was She's
Seven.
seven
Yeah.
years old. And so $50 a month. By the time you were 28, you started at 15. So let's see,
Yeah.
do the math. Okay. 13 years later,
Yeah.
you were able to put a down payment on your house. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I think that Siobhan Joseph is backstage again. And so maybe we can bring him on camera. Hopefully his audio is good, but we're having a great discussion. If you are just tuning in, this is the Chicken Box powered by the Afro-American newspapers. As I've said a couple of times, we're celebrating 130 years. We do thank everybody for joining us. I have my phone in one hand watching and to see who's joining. And so I want to say good afternoon to Byron. Byron was a guest last week, Alicia, so we were
Oh,
glad.
he's good. That's a good man. That's a
Yes,
really good man.
absolutely. Faithful chicken box watcher. That's almost a tongue twister. Delois Ann Purcell, and I know how to say your name. Thank you for being with us. Lenora Housey, I see you. And I see other people. Come on, let's ask people to join us. People join us later too. There are lots of people that watch afterwards. So we're glad to be here. Siobhan Joseph. Is it
Yes,
Shervin or
ma'am.
it's
It's
Shervin?
Shervin Joseph.
Shervin Joseph.
Shervin,
Hi,
yes.
we can hear you really well.
Yeah, finally.
Welcome to the Chicken Box. We're so glad that
And I thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And so you know about our Black wealth building.
I do. I do. And I have to say, Alicia, that the commitment from saving from seven, 15, was it 15 years later when you were able to put the down payment?
Yeah, 15 to 15. Yep.
Yes, she was
15 to
15 when she
28.
started.
15. 15 to 15. That's a heck of a commitment. And we need more of our folks in the community to be that committed and sacrifice, because that's where it starts with building wealth and the commitment to home ownership. It starts with wanting to and the desire to excel and not sit back and wait for somebody else to hand you something. We need to be the aggressor and we need to be committed and get after it. You are a perfect example of how it's done. Saving, putting your money away every year till you had it and you made it happen. Nothing but applause and flowers for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's true. And I want to give a shout out though to her dad. See, because her dad, Alicia said something really key. He couldn't or didn't think he could do it for himself, but he was really concerned that his daughter knew how to do it. And so often we don't know where to take our sons and daughters, but we have perfect examples there. And so tell us, Mr. Joseph, tell us a little bit about your background. I know it, I've heard you you did a Facebook Live for us, but tell us a little bit about your background. You've been in this industry for a long time. Let's tell
Yes,
people what industry that is.
I've been in the mortgage banking industry for approximately 36 years. I owe so much to the industry. It's pretty much changed my life. And hopefully we've touched a lot of folks' lives en route. I've held a lot of positions from senior VP, bank branch manager. I'm a diversity outreach manager now, but I'm also what is close and dear to my heart. I've always been a mortgage loan officer, which puts people in homes, because to me, you could be anything you want to be, but if you're committed to helping people advance in their lives, that's when it makes a big difference. Prior to my 36 years in mortgage banking, I was in the Marine Corps for a number of years, and I'm a proud veteran. Semper Fi to all my devil dogs out there. So yes, and the Marine Corps has shaped me to a certain degree, along with a very strict mother, to the success I've had today.
That's great, Shervin. So we're glad. I know people say this all the time, and this is a automatic response, but we really do thank you for your service.
Thank you.
My son was in the Corps as well, so
very nice.
Good discipline.
Yes,
all branches of the service, but it seems like the Marines have a a special way that
Mhm.
they train that is
And you're absolutely right. All branches of the service are to be commended.
yes, absolutely. So listen, you and Alicia have a lot in common, even though you're in the private sector. She's in the university public sector. However, her background is varied. She's been on both sides, and so this whole and both of you have said something about home building or home
Mhm.
buying as an entree way to or entryway to building wealth. It used to be, and I'd like to have both of you weigh in on this. It used to be that people were told, if you get a house, that's it. That's your wealth, and people held on to homes, especially here in Baltimore, for a long, long, long time, and not just in Baltimore. We have people watching from all over the place. Is that still the case? Is buying a home is that your entryway to wealth? And what do you have to say about that, Alicia? And then Shervin, I'm gonna go to you. I know that's your field, but I want to
No,
talk
no,
about.
Alicia, please, absolutely.
I would say that I think home ownership and the ownership of property, since the founding of this country, is going to continue to be an entree to wealth. I also would say that it is not what you earn, but what you save, which matters most. And so, as you think about when you talk about having wealth, I know many people whose paycheck says one number and their savings account says something very different. And so it is not what you earn, it's what you save and what you're able to save. And that is about and then what do you do with those savings? Do you put it in vehicles that ultimately allow for it to grow? And are you consistent? Right. So, like I said, I love people who are like, I'm now investing because I'm in Bitcoin and now I'm going to be a millionaire. There will be some of you who will be. Most of the millionaires are going to be because they were consistent savers in their 401k, in their retirement plans, in bonds and in mutual funds, but consistency with whatever you have that you save. But I would love Mr. Joseph's thoughts on that as well.
I'm going to piggyback on what you said. It's a matter of what not. Earning is great because it's a stepping stone to the monies that we need to make us better, and it provides our pathway to home ownership and so forth. But it's what you retain, retaining your house and not allowing it to go into foreclosure. And we know folks run into difficulties during their life. Okay, we can't deny that. But what we know too is a lot of hard working people retain their houses and even wind up buying something else. So yes, I have to say that the gateway to wealth starts with home ownership. And matter of fact, once you build on that and you start building on either purchasing other homes, whether you want to accumulate wealth in real estate or you want to accumulate wealth in some other endeavor, you have a foundation with a house or your property. And it's exactly what Alicia said. The big cars, the fancy cars, all this other nonsense. You know what? Get the homes and build the wealth first. The other stuff will come. The patience. Don't allow yourself to be that microwave type of person. In other words, push button, want everything now. You have to earn it. You earn your profession. You climb the ladder. But it's the same way with wealth. You build your wealth with your house. You get another house, maybe, or maybe you start investing. I like what Alicia said with investing. I love to see young people talk about investing, particularly after they made the first initial investment, which is property and could act like a a foundation with regards to income. Because once you have a property, you always have money. If your credit is good, you always have money. That equity, don't go dipping in your equity just for paying off credit cards constantly. Dip in your equity to make it work for you. Dip in the equity to buy a couple of investment properties. Dip in your equity to take some money and stock away for investing. But don't dip into your equity for the sole purpose of just having a good time or going on vacation, or, you know, folks know they'll get a lecture from me every time they come back and see me years later and say, I know, before you say anything, I know I'm here to refinance, but I'm refinancing because I have to build. That's not building equity. That's being a slave to your equity. You're taking your equity and you're just tossing it away. You've grown, you've worked so hard to get to this point. You have got to make it work from an investment standpoint, and you have riches in front of you. Make it happen and not allow it to happen to you.
That is great advice for
Sorry,
both
I
of
went
you.
on a rant. I get a little passionate about this.
That's good. It's good to be passionate about it. We got to be passionate about it. And listen, I'm glad that both of you are here, and I'm also glad our co-host has just joined us, Impeccable, who is on the West Coast, I believe, today. So, good morning, sir, out there. So, thank you for.
Good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes.
We
Yeah, I'm in a place where they make us stay masked up in an undisclosed location at a big studio in Burbank. But welcome, Siobhan. Did I say that?
Yeah, sure.
Thank
It's
you.
sure.
Siobhan. You
Sure.
kept saying Siobhan.
I'll answer
like
to
it was,
either.
like it was special, like Siobhan. It sounds like a new designer clothing.
Trust me, you're not the first person to call or call me Sherman or Chevron or Sherbert. It's okay. I always answer.
Absolutely. And
And
Alicia, always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure. So good to
I'm,
see
I'm,
you.
I'm just here, just getting these nuggets of how you were able just to save and build. The compound interest is the 10th wonder of the world, and if you can just be consistent with it, and you can be steadfast to your plan, you'll wake up one day and you'll have money to invest in a business, to buy your home, just to just be financially free. So this conversation is needed, and philanthropy can start as young as 7, 12, and kudos to your dad for instilling it in you, and thank you guys again for coming and sharing your knowledge and your just dropping some wisdom on the chicken box, so that because once we eat that chicken box, our fingers can get greasy, the money can slip through, but when you drop that wisdom on it, you need to put some of that chicken box money in your account.
That's right. That's right.
Not your bank account. Anyway.
So Kevin said your chicken box can be greasy. If you're from Baltimore, you know that a chicken box is 4 wings and a fry. And it is greasy, right? So some of our topics that we discuss are a little slippery. Money is one of those. Money can slip through your hands, right? I used to be a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch, and I would talk to young people about investing, and they would say, "You don't have money." I said, "You do have money."
Yeah.
When people say they don't have money, that's not true. We do have money.
Yeah.
Most of us. There are some people. Let me be clear. There are some people that don't really have, but most people have money. It's not how much we have; it's how much we spend, right?
That's right.
And it's also what we need. Now, there are necessities that we have to cover. Let's be honest. The things that we have to, and sometimes our outflow is more than our inflow. And many of us don't watch our outflow.
Yes.
We get paid, or what somebody gives us some money, and we say, "What happened to that $50 you had on Saturday?" I don't know. I don't know. So keeping up with it.
Let me tell you about the cell phone business. If someone loses their cell phone today, they find money to get that cell phone today.
Yes.
Anybody who says they don't have money, let them lose their cell phone. So you can find money for what you want it to be for. And if you keep that
That's a great point.
If you keep that mindset that says, "I'm broke, I don't have no money," you are just attracting all of those negative things about money. Even in church, they don't like for people to talk about money, but Jesus talked about money more than prayer in the Bible. That's a fact. And fact checking anybody out there who wants to know.
But
I'm off the box now.
You're off the box. Okay. Well,
He's off the box. He's off the box.
this is the Chicken Box for those who are just tuning in. This is the Chicken Box powered by the Afro-American newspapers. It's a place where you get on and speak your truth. And so those who are watching, come on, weigh in. We want to hear what do you think it takes to build Black wealth? Now I know in the chat it's only that little bit of space, but weigh in with us. The other question I'm asking people: did you learn like Alicia did about investing early, or is it something foreign to you? Did you learn about buying a home early, or is it something that you weren't taught? And so, speaking of a home buying, I'm gonna ask Shervin to tell us a little bit about this upcoming home buying workshop. We hopefully we can put it up on the screen so people can see. Tell us about your workshop, and then Alicia, tell us a little bit about your process when you bought that first home after saving $50 a month
Yes.
since you were uh, 15, 15 years old. Okay, so Shervin, tell us about the home buying workshop you have coming up, and then Alicia, tell us about what you did.
Yes, the home buying seminar is a virtual seminar that we do, that we have a senior VP from our credit bureau that we use to explain everything about credit. And we're not talking about, because I have a problem with these credit shysters that are saying that they're going to help you repair your credit, charge you thousands of dollars, but they don't really do what they need to do. And you could keep that money for yourself and pay down your own debt, or use that money toward closing. This is to tell you everything you need to know about your FICO score, so you could grow your FICO score to ensure that you qualify for a mortgage. So this is coming right from the horse's mouth. It's an excellent slideshow. I've done it with him for 15 years. Then I will do a presentation on Mortgage 101 for anyone that either owns a home or is trying to buy their first home. It tells you options about the pre-approval process, the type of loans that are out there for people trying to buy homes, talk about student loans, how it affects your loan and how it affects you from qualifying. It talks about closing and whether it's a VA loan, FHA, or conventional. So we cover everything in about an hour's time. We condense it. But the one thing that we do is take questions during and after. That's a pet peeve of mine, is because so many folks out there really don't know the process, and it prohibits them from really jumping in. They allow fear to get the best of them. And if they know the process and know that there are grant programs, there's methods that there's no money down program, like the VA no money down, or USDA has a no money down program. So there's a lot of best kept secrets that folks just don't know about that could get them in homes. But again, they have to be committed to doing it.
Okay, thank you. We're going to find the information. That seminar is on May the 4th.
Correct. May the 4th at, I believe it's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, and we're going to find the link and add it to the chat in Facebook. If not, we'll pin it at the top. I think it's already on our page.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
it's on our page already, and so people can go to afro.com. Go to afro.com and you can get the information. All right, Alicia, I really am fascinated about how this happened for you and what that process was like.
Okay, so a couple of things. I'll give you the pre-work and then get you up to the house buying. One, I really focused on making sure my credit was good, because I wanted an interest rate that was competitive when I was going to borrow money. And so whatever I borrowed, which wasn't much, I paid back as quickly as I could so that my credit score was as high as possible. The second thing is, I talked about consistently investing $50 a month in a mutual fund. I knew I had a corpus to be able to use for that down payment. But when I was looking for a house, I was a lawyer, so I was probably a 4th or 5th year lawyer. And I remember people saying, you know what, you can borrow 3-4 times your salary. And I was saying, and if this salary, because this was around 2008, if this salary reduces, how am I going to be able to pay that mortgage? And so I really did want a really nice house that would appreciate over time. But I also knew that I was 28 years old. And so I wasn't going to buy a house that was outsized of my reality, although others may have had an expectation. And so when you're purchasing property, purchasing things, it's important not to have people in your ear that want you to live beyond your means. I still like to go on nice vacations. I like to wear nice clothing. So that all has to work as a part of the portfolio. So when I was looking for a home, I actually bought my home at foreclosure auction. It was a new home that someone had purchased who could not afford it anymore. And so they were foreclosed on, and I was able to purchase that home at foreclosure. And I would only purchase at foreclosure if you can get a home that you don't have to then invest a whole lot of money in.
Yeah.
It was a new home. It was only 5 years old. Because I'm a single woman. I'm not going to be putting plaster on the wall and fixing pipe and all that. I mean, that could get out of control. So I bought the home at foreclosure, and was able to use that down payment. And ultimately, I'm still in the same home. Have been able to pay it off because of, just being conservative about giving. And this is my first home. It's not my last home. But I think starting being reasonable and conservative really can help you as you think about your home buying.
Wow. Now, those are nuggets for anybody who's looking to buy a home. Those are, I heard Alicia say, get your credit right. And that's the same thing Shervin said. Get your credit right, pay down your debt. And there are all kinds of ways to pay down your debt to increase your score, right? There are all kinds
Oh,
of
absolutely.
legitimate ways to do it. I also heard Alicia say something about patience. And I heard her say that your last home, your first home is not necessarily your last home, and she likes vacations and nice things, and so she didn't want to put all her money into a mortgage. I think that's what she said. So,
yes.
so she was on the box about that, right?
And she said she don't like to fix. She don't like to fix things
nice
up either.
You can't be in a $500,000 home, even if your salary, even if somebody wants to give you a loan on that. Because I was able to buy a home because someone else was sold that pipe dream. So me being able to buy a home in foreclosure was because someone else got in over their head. So I probably saw it really vividly, the need to be conservative.
Yep, the need to be conservative is key. And I know Alicia has to jump off in a couple of minutes because she's facilitating another conversation. So, gentlemen, anybody want to get on the box about anything else right now? It could be about home buying, it can be about wealth creation, it can be about philanthropy, it can be things that you have learned over the years, right? Because you all have years and years of experience. Let me ask this. Somebody tell me, what mistakes did you make that if you had known then what you know now, you just would not have gone down that road? What mistakes in finance, in building wealth, in home buying, in credit, anything? Anybody want to share anything? Because it may help somebody else because
I'll share.
Okay, go ahead.
Since everybody's in the sharing mode. In college, when they throw all of those credit cards in your face.
Yep. That's where I was going.
And you don't have the means to, like Alicia said, pay them off. And it may be a $300 limit. I think that was my first Macy's card. I thought I was doing something. Then spring break came, and I had to have something to wear, or I had to stay in this hotel. And before you know it, that $300 limit was up to $310, and you were paying 25% interest on it. and it became just a burden. You started dragging it around. So I think the biggest takeaway is your patience, and then how you handle the money that you have. God calls us to be a good steward over our money and be a good manager over your money. And so, are you being a good manager over your money? That's a question you need to ask yourself, or as you train your kids. And so, that's one of the nuggets I would say. Are you being a good manager? Do you really need the new Jordans, or are the Nike Airs okay? You know what I mean? And parents, the kids are not gonna die. I found out if they don't get Jordans, I think they still live. They might have a funny face for a second, but if that money that you paying for those sneakers went into, like you said, that savings vehicle, it would make a world of difference to them in 10 years, because those Jordans would be messed up in less than a year. I'm off the box.
All
I
right.
think that, yeah, I like to piggyback on what Impeccable said and what Alicia said. A couple of points, particularly college students who have really, unless your folks or their folks got them to start budgeting and understand how to save and understand how to handle credit cards and so forth, really need a class on how to look out for themselves and not get caught up in the credit cards, as Impeccable was alluding to. And going to Alicia's point, you know what? She said she likes nice things and didn't want to be a slave to her house. She wanted to afford a house that she could still have a good time and enjoy. And that is so critical. You could do all of the above, but she sacrificed to get to that point. And it's okay. You could still do that. You just have to set yourself up with a budget and ensure that that budget is what is going to take you forward. I did a seminar, I think it was in February, for Howard, home buying seminar. And it was the same thing. The students their questions were all about the credit cards and the student loans, because they said, a lot of them said the same thing Impeccable said. A lot of them have bad credit already. They haven't even graduated yet, but it was because they had those credit cards and they didn't know how to manage it. But just because you made an error, you know how life treats you, just because you made an error doesn't mean you can't rebound and correct yourself. You self-correct, you pay off whatever bad debt, and you advance forward. You know that now, how do I manage these credit cards? I take my time, pay them down, keep them at below 30% to increase my credit score, puts me in position to buy, and I could still go out, have good things, and still purchase a home.
Absolutely. And you make no big purchases when you're trying to purchase a home. But anyway, Alicia's going to get ready to jump off. So Alicia, we're almost out of time anyway. I want you to get on the box, for 60 seconds or so. You can talk about anything that you'd like. You can talk about the Black Philanthropy Circle. Tell us how to sign up for that, or whatever on your heart. You got to.
Sure. I think Byron put the nice link to the Black Philanthropy Circle in the
chat
on Facebook. So I hope everyone received that. What I would say is, you talk about money, it can sometimes become a little overwhelming. And when we talk about wealth, it can seem very distant and far off from you. Like I said, I started with $50 a month. If I had only had $20 a month, that's what I would have used. And so the important thing to do is to be consistent. And also not to get into the comparison game, because you can't compare yourself to anyone else. You are on this journey on your own, although you have many people with you. And so what's for you is for you. And so being focused and setting your priorities is essential to you being able to build wealth. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for this
opportunity.
opportunity.
You are such a rock star, Alicia.
Thank you.
You are the rock star and the gem that the community doesn't talk about. And we thank you for sharing those nuggets.
Thank you.
We know you got to do it. You always got a home and a voice at the Afro and Chicken Box. So
thank you. Thank you. I will. Thank you.
Lisa. Thank you so much for being with us. Yes. And so So we are in the home stretch, if you will, of the Chicken Box. We do thank Alicia Wilson, and we'll have to have her come back. Next month is our education month, but this month is on building Black wealth. Hey there, Jewel. We have two Jewels that are on a regular basis, and so we're glad to see our Jewel on today. Glad to see you. And so as we wind up, I want to talk one more thing about home building and wealth buying. And if you Sherman, we talk about fixing credit and all of that, and people, sometimes rent rather than buy because they just think it's so far out of their reach. Can you say a little bit about the advantages of buying over renting?
Oh, absolutely. That's easy for me.
Right. I'm sure.
Because renting, it's not yours. You're paying someone else's mortgage. At the end of the day, you're paying someone else's mortgage. You can't personalize your space. You can't draw any equity from it. You can't use it for IRS purposes. There's so much that goes with that, and you can't use it long term as you can with your own personal space. What a property does, a home does, when you own it for a family or for a single mom or for a student that just got out of college with their first job and landed a great job and wanted to purchase a home, that builds your future. That gives you so much esteem and forward thinking as far as building that. It sets you up. Apartments don't do that. You can't draw anything off an apartment except pay somebody else's mortgage. But can you use home building as a stepping stone to wealth? Absolutely. That is the only way to go. And yeah, if you look at, if you speak to a loan officer, preferably me, but any loan officer that you could speak to, you ask them, hey, tell them I pay rent. My rent is $1,500 or $1,800, and say, tell me what my mortgage payment would be, where it's consistent within that range of what my rent is now. You'll be surprised. People that are paying $2,500, $3,000 for a rent, seriously, and you could get a mortgage where you could build equity and build your future, and the payment is going to be not considerably less, but less depending on what type of home you're looking at.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I know Impeccable has to jump off too. And so Impeccable, you want to say anything before you jump off? And then I'm going to go back to Sherman and give him the final word.
No, I wanted to also like to thank Sherman for coming in. I have to jump. So we got one of our Baltimore's own, Cisco, performing on the American Sound Contest. So watch on NBC. He's representing Maryland. So I have to run for this rehearsal. But I just want to say that get in your mind that you are not poor, that you're not poor, that you're not broke, that you were created to create. You were created to create wealth and to solve problems that are out there. Everybody has a problem that they can solve and value that they can add to the marketplace. You just have to figure out what your value is and get your mind right. I say it every day, get your mind focused and realize that you're a king or queen, and that if you just can practice a little bit of patience, you will definitely see your wealth change. Have a great day, everybody. I got
to run. Thank you. Love that. All right. Last question I want you to weigh in on, Sherman, because 60 Minutes blew it up. Others have talked about the fact that, so this is, and I see a question there. So we'll talk about the seminar, but about these brokers that are coming in and buying all of these homes, right? Before people can even get to them, because it's a seller's market and the bidding has been ferocious around all of that. So if you could say something about that, and again, repeat your. So Regina, the information about the home buying seminar is on afro.com. It is on May the 4th. I think somebody put the link, the event. Yeah, they did. The Eventbrite link to sign up is right there. and it's in the chat. And so just click it. It's free. I know Shervin would love to work with your son, work with you to
Oh,
help.
any and everybody,
And
anybody that needs help, that's what we're there for. Any questions need to be answered, any direction you need, we're there to assist you. But
that's great. Go ahead.
But to answer your question, yes, and that's happening all over the country. These investors are selecting different cities to go after homes, and it's their businesses pretty much going after it and competing with either first-time home buyers or people moving up. Now, to be frankly, you have to be aggressive. And sometimes being aggressive isn't aggressive enough because these entities are paying cash and making cash offers for these homes. So you can't compete in that regard. However, when you and your realtor have identified a home that you're interested in, you have to come up with a plan on what the offer is. You can't wait 3-4 days because that house will be gone. You have to be aggressive and attack it immediately. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going on a bidding war. I don't care how much you want the house. You have to make sure the question you ask your realtor, can the house carry the offer price we're asking, even if you're bidding over 20,000 above, 40,000 above? Because after that realtor's gone, after the loan officer's gone, you have to stay with that property. You have to pay the mortgage, and you have to hope when you're ready to resell that property in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, that the value will not only appreciate, but you will have more than enough value. And so you don't want to start out in the hole just to win a bidding war, because that might be all you're winning. So it's critical. They could show you a comparable analysis of properties that carry that value, that have closed and are currently listed in a 3-mile radius of the property you're looking to purchase. That is absolutely critical. No, will it help you compete against these entities? Probably not. That's just something that you have to be aggressive with the house you're looking at and decide if it's worth it for you to put in an offer.
Correct. So as we close up, I'm going to jump on the box and we'll be done for the day. I want to thank Shervin Joseph. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this afternoon.
My pleasure.
You have so much information. I do hope our viewers will sign up for the virtual home buying seminar, because I know there are a lot of nuggets there, from credit repair to how to, work with your realtor, how to get an approval, a pre-approval, so that when you see that home that you want, you are ready and you know how much you can afford before you dream of the $1 million home. It may be that you started with a $100,000 home. And so
that's right.
that is May the 4th. Let me say to everybody who's watching, thank you so much. This is the Afro-American Newspapers. We'll be 130 years old. This is a plug for a couple of things. We're having a tea in Baltimore and one in Washington. If you're in those areas, one is April 23rd. We have some tickets left for that. Washington one is June the 26th. We're honoring African-American women in media, including Miss Kathy Hughes. And so we hope that you'll join us for either. Afro.com is the place to go for all of that information. But most of all, if you are not a subscriber, we're talking about building wealth in the Black community. The entire edition for this week, the entire edition is called Building Black Wealth. Every single page, including things on buying a home, dollar cost averaging, planning for retirement, trust and wills and the importance of that. And we even have an Afro exclusive about the wedding of George Johnson, the founder of Johnson Products, and Madeline Murphy Rabb, a native of Baltimore. And the Afro is the first to talk about that. You will not read that anyplace else. And so text Afro to 410-936-5002 for text alerts. But Kevin, Impeccable would say, for less than the cost of 2 Uber Eats, $40 a year, you can get a digital subscription to the Afro. And so we're asking that you support us that way. If you're the person that likes to have it in print, do that as well. I just happen to have last week's print edition sitting right here. So this is the one with John Baptiste and his new wife. But support us. Let's support each other. That's another way that we build Black wealth, is that we support Black-owned businesses, that we support Black-owned real estate professionals, that we support Black-owned attorneys. You all know where I'm going. And so let's support one another. Thank you so much. I'm Frances Tony Draper, CEO of the Afro. Thank you, Sherman Joseph. We thank Alicia Wilson. We thank Kevin Peck, Impeccable, for being here with us as well. And we thank Lisa Donaldson, who's in the background, who has been our producer for the day. Take care. Happy, for those of you who are of the Christian faith, happy Resurrection Sunday. Happy Easter to our Jewish friends. A happy Passover to our Muslim friends. We pray that you will have a sacred Ramadan. Whatever your faith is, just know that God is still good and in control. Take care and goodbye.